Good morning, Silver Eagles. My name is Jason Kling, one of your associate principals in the building. I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you this morning reviewing our crisis response protocol in case we are faced with emergency situations, and also for the drills that we hold throughout the year. So I know that for some of you this is going to be a review. I'll ask that you still pay attention. It's a good refresher for everyone in the building to know how to respond when certain situations arise. So the five terms that I'm going to walk you through today are classroom hold, building secure, shelter, evacuation, and lockdown. These are the common terminology that are used as part of what we call the standard response protocol, and these are the same language and the same terms that are used by law enforcement, by emergency responders, by fire department, so that all people involved kind of know what's going on and are using the same terminology in the same way. So the five terms that I'm going to go through with you, you'll see cover a range. The first couple that I'm going to cover are the more, I would say, the least serious of the five, but are the most probable to be used. And the ones towards the bottom that I'll end with are by far the most serious, but are the least probable to occur. So the first term that I want to introduce you to is what we call a classroom hold, and this is something that is used for a variety of reasons. What a classroom hold is, it's used to secure an area of the building, typically our hallways. So when this would be used would be something like a medical emergency, a behavior incident if we're doing a canine sweep, or if we just basically need to keep one part of the building safe and secure and we don't want people around. What you would hear in that situation over the PA system would be something like, we are under a classroom hold due to, and giving some kind of a description, or maybe a part of the building that's under a classroom hold. Please remain in your classrooms and offices until the all clear is given. Staff, please check your email for more information. Students, what you would do in that situation is pretty simple. If you're in a classroom, you just stay in your classroom. Your classes will continue teaching and learning just as they were before, but students are kept in the classroom. So that means that we're not taking trips from one area of the building to another. We're not getting drinks of water or going to your locker or going to the bathroom until the classroom hold is done. If you are out in the hallways, or if you're somewhere that's not in a classroom when a classroom hold starts, a staff member will come grab you, and you will just hang out with them until that hold is done. If we get into a situation where the classroom hold gets into a passing period, students will stay put. The passing period bells are ignored, and students are going to stay put where they are until the all clear is given. And at that time, your teachers should be locking their classroom doors and their office doors again until the all clear is given. So again, this could be used for a variety of reasons. Classroom holds typically are fairly short, but they could be longer in duration. The next term that I want to familiarize you with is what we call a building secure. A building secure is when there is a threat or an active incident outside of the building. So a classroom hold is typically used for something inside our building. The building secure is the opposite of that. So this might be used if there's something going on in the community. It could be involving the police. It could be a domestic situation on campus. It could be something that we're investigating that we just don't want to have people around outside of the building. What you would hear in this situation is, again, over the PA, likely would be, we are under a building secure due to, with some kind of a description, all exterior entrances are secured. Classes and passing time will continue as usual, although no one may leave the building at this time. So basically, during a building secure, life within the building goes on as normal. Passing periods can happen, classes can happen, students can move across the building as they like. But the only difference would be that we're not letting anyone out, and we're not letting anyone in, and we're keeping those exits to our building locked at this, during the time that the building secure is happening. Basically, during this time, like we said, we're locking and securing all external entrances. If we have any classes or students or staff that are outside of the building, they will be brought inside at this point. And then also visitors, including parents and guardians, will be kept out of the building. Or on the flip side, if we have people that are in the office, that are in the building that are seeking to leave, they're going to be kept inside the building until that building secure is all clear and over. The next term is what we call shelter, and I think that this is probably familiar to most students. What it is when we would have some kind of a hazardous incident or safety issue that requires all students and staff to be secured inside the building. When this is most likely used would be when we're doing our tornado and severe weather drills. So we practice this in the spring. It could also be used if there's some kind of an environmental incident outside. What you would hear in this case over the PA would be, staff, at this time we are in our shelter protocol. Please bring all students and staff indoors and secure all exterior exits. Check your email for more information. So a shelter drill is a little bit different in that there are designated areas within the building that all classrooms report to. And those are typically in interior parts of the building. They're typically away from windows. They're usually right in kind of the interior part of the building. So if you're outdoors, you're going to come inside. We're going to secure and lock all of our exterior doors. If there's severe weather, you're going to head to the area that's noted on the blue map in your classroom. That should be by the doors in all of our offices and classrooms, and we'll show you exactly where to go in a shelter drill. We're going to seal our rooms or building if there's any kind of a presence of hazardous materials outside, and our staff will continue to monitor their updates and further instructions. So for students, the shelter is pretty simple. Whatever room that you're in, you check the blue map of where to go, and you're going to follow your class, and you're going to head to that area. Typically, you're quiet and you're seated until the all clear is given. The next term is the evacuation protocol. Evacuation protocol is an incident or drill that requires the evacuation of the building. When it is used, the most typical one would be when the fire alarm goes off or when we're doing some kind of a fire evacuation drill. But we could also use this for something like a gas leak, a chemical spill, or a power outage. Anything that we don't feel like it's safe to be in the building at this time, and so we're going to get everybody outside. Couple of ways that the evacuation protocol could be enacted. The most basic one would be if the fire alarms go off. So if they're triggered somehow, either by heat or by smoke, or you might hear something over the PA, such as, staff, at this time we are to evacuate the building. If we know the reason for the evacuation and we have a little bit of time to plan, we would give some more instructions about where to gather and what to bring. Students in an evacuation protocol, you have a really important part in this. Students and staff should exit the building following the route noted on the white map near the door of their area. So just like I mentioned in the shelter drill, there's a blue map that shows where to go. If we have a shelter drill, there's a white map that actually has an arrow and shows the direction that you would leave that room, what stairwell to take, and how to get out of the building at this point. Students should leave all materials behind unless it's a planned evacuation. We would give you some instructions on what to grab. And then the last person out should close the door. Students, when you are on your way out of the building, you need to stay with your class, and there is a designated area outside the building that you should head to. And the last of the maps you would see in a classroom before leaving would be a colored overhead campus map that has different colored zones, and that will note which zone that you're headed to. So you know when you're leaving the building where you're headed to. And again, a staff member will be with you, so you just need to stick with your staff member. Once you get to that area outside the building, the students should line up behind their teacher. So the teacher or staff member is the one facing the building. All of the students are behind the staff member, and depending on kind of what's happening at that moment, we would likely take attendance. And then if we are in a position where it's safe to re-enter the building, you'll hear the all clear given out over the PA, or you may have some administrators or student services people outside that will tell you that it's safe to re-enter. The last thing I'll mention about evacuation, one thing that could potentially happen is if the building is not safe to re-enter, we could be actually reunifying or transferring to another location. And so part of the reason why it's nice to have attendance taken and everybody lined up is that if we do have a situation where we need to walk somewhere or be bused somewhere else, we know who's with us, we're all accounted for, and we could transition to another location. And then the last term that I will define is what we call a lockdown. The lockdown is obviously the most serious and hopefully an incident that never occurs. This is when there's an imminent threat or an incident that is threatening the safety of students or staff. This might include a violent intruder, someone with a weapon, but something where it's a life-threatening situation. What you might hear is there is an active threat located in a specific location. Follow the lockdown protocol. You might also see flashing lights coming onto your clocks. You might hear an automated voice. It depends on if there's time to communicate that. So again, I would not rely on that. That may not always be the case if there's a life-threatening situation, but those are some things that you might hear. What you should do in this situation, I know a lot of students in the past have had training in ALICE, and those ALICE principles still very much apply here. But students and staff alike should respond based on the information as it is received. So based on your surroundings, based on what you're picking up, based on what you're hearing or seeing, each individual is going to make the best decision for themselves at that moment. That may include an evacuation of the building, that may include a barricading of the space that you're in, but again, that is based on an individual's response in that moment and based on the information that they're receiving. So I very much appreciate your time and attention in hearing those different definitions. Many of these we will practice in our drills throughout the school year. If you have any questions about these, please feel free to ask a teacher or feel free to see me or Officer Wunsch. But again, thank you for your attention and helping Monona Grove stay safe. Thank you.